On this episode of The Geek State, we tackle the world of fake movie sports, so strap in your pod racer and let's play some Rollerball.
Our inbox was flooded with your geek expert questions that we had to dive into.
And Star Trek Discovery is off to a great start. Star Wars, heads up, the quality bar has just been set by Trek. All that and more.
Harry, stay put. Bertoli, you go long. Rico, flip 6-3 hole. Got it? Hey, Rico. Hey!
What?
You're drifting! Flip 6-3 hole on 1. Got it?
Just throw me the ball, Diz.
Ready, break.
Stand by alert.
This is it.
From Maz Kanata to your mama, this is the Geek State.
Live from the Boonta Eve Classic, this is the Geek State. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Geek State podcast. We're talking about all things geek pop culture, movies, comic books, video games. And this week, because of an upcoming large sport event, we're going to dive deep into the world of fake sports and movies and TV shows of the geek persuasion. But before we can get going, we've got to bring our buddy James in here. James, you ready to talk sports? This is your wheelhouse, man. You're the sports guy.
I am, so I'm very excited about this. I watch quite a bit of sports. I have even watched one of these sports on television, not associated with the movie, and we will definitely dig into that. That's the day that I found out I had too many sports channels.
You're watching like ESPN The Ocho live.
I think it was called 11. It's just a sports channel called 11.
They don't even. Yeah, is that owned by ESPN?
No,
nope,
I think it's an independent one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I think it's primarily a soccer channel. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about right now, Chris.
No, but I do want to start off the show by thanking everybody who has taken a moment to jump on Twitter or Facebook and share our episode posts. Last week we were on, we as in the show, I as in me, was on the Techno Retro Dads podcast, and it was an awesome experience because it exposed us, the show, to a new audience. Woke up this morning, James, and I think I sent this to you, but Jeff Fischbach, which I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, so Fischbach, maybe, says every single geek should be listening to the Geek State. I'll endorse any podcast that has been officially approved by Jar Jar Binks, related to the opener from last week's episode. So thank you guys and ladies so much for sharing and posting and retweeting stuff. We're a new podcast, and so to get the word out there for us to build an audience, we need you to recruit people to be in the Geek State, to become citizens, card-carrying citizens. I need to get cards made, James. Don't you think, like some business cards, carry them in your wallet?
Some citizenship cards?
Yeah. It's got a little space for you to write your name in it.
I mean, we used to have buttons, so I don't see why we can't have. We still have buttons.
I have many buttons from the Smore Geeks podcast. Maybe I'll just throw those. I'll throw those in with the cards. You're just honorary members. There's no perks that go along with the membership as of yet with these cards. I'm still kind of workshopping it. But
there are definitely perks. You can tweet us, and we will read your tweet. You can give us show topic suggestions. So there's definitely perks to being members of the Geek State.
So we definitely need, there's an after show meeting that needs to happen. Absolutely. Yes. What we'll do is when this show drops, I'm going to open up the Discord to our citizens of the Geek State. So we're going to bring in some new folks to be a part of everything going on here, because this is not just a show where we talk to you, because that's what it is right in this second. But the best part about a podcast is the interaction and the community. And so thank you so much for everybody who has shared and has reviewed on iTunes and is retweeting and liking on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So that being said, if you don't follow us yet on Facebook, we're facebook.com/thegeekstate, and on Twitter, we are at the Geek State Pod. And two things before we get into our big discussion on sports, James. I'm disappointed that you have not gone to see the movie Glass.
I know. I'm disappointed too in myself. I hope to remedy it this weekend. You
really do, because I'd like to talk to you about it. I do. And it's one of those movies where you literally can't talk about this movie unless you have seen it. But the good thing is, James, the movie is just out in theaters, so it probably is not even fair for us to have the discussion, right? Because not everyone has had a chance. Clearly.
We definitely don't want to do spoilers on this podcast for Glass. I feel like it has not exhausted its time in the box office. I haven't seen it, there's definitely other people out there who haven't seen it.
Like, I think the statute of limitations on The Sixth Sense just lapsed like 2 days ago. So
wow. Then we might be able to get to it by Geek State episode 2022.
Yeah. I'll mark it. I'll put it on the Excel. And then I also want to note, I caught up this weekend with Star Trek Discovery. They released like 4 short episodes. They call them short treks, and I hadn't watched them yet. So I watched them all at once and then watched the premiere of Discovery, and I absolutely love it. I think it's incredible. I think that the storytelling is really compelling. It's a great adventure. And the biggest thing that I'm watching this and I'm thinking like, wow, like if Star Trek, and this is no dig at Star Trek, if they can pull off something that feels this large, this epic, this cinematic for CBS All Access, my brain just was like spinning of what's going to happen with The Mandalorian for Disney Plus. So the bar has been set for Star Wars, because I feel like that's the level that it needs to look. The look needs to be that big.
I'm very happy for Star Trek, but I'm going to need to ask you to take that commentary to the Nerd County podcast, because we have no room for Star Trek Discovery talk.
That's
here.
Not fair. We're open borders for Star Trek fans. Come on.
Well, while you were watching that, I was taking some time to scour through all of the great feedback we've been getting. Part of that feedback was a couple of our listeners also decided to take the Avengers. Which Avengers are you? And we are developing quite the little team so far.
Yes.
We do have a little bit of duplicative responses. Which, interestingly enough, Jessica and Daniel, our listeners, both got Star-Lord. The interesting part about that is they are also married, so I don't know if that house is just full of wit or what's going on over there.
Very much so.
So it's very exciting that they both got Star-Lord. And then we also got some feedback from Levi that he got Doctor Strange. So we definitely have somebody who can see into the future, who knows when to give up Infinity Stones. We're very excited to have that on our team. And at least we know that there is one positive outcome for our team.
Just one. And the good thing is we've got our Captain America and you, and then Spider-Man with me. So we've got Star-Lord, we've got Doctor Strange. We need to fill out the rest of the team. So if you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Geek State, you'll find a link to this quiz. Let us know what you got so we can add you to this team.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport.
What's that? It's blowing up from the inside.
We didn't hit it.
Now this is Podracing.
Look, one of ours out of the main hole.
All right, so there's like a lot of movies about sports, James, most of which I have not seen. But that being said, the Super Bowl is coming up this week, and so we're going to smash our way through the fantastic world of fake sports. And some are real, actually, but some are not. Some are very much inspired by. So, James, are you ready? You got your helmet on. You got your.
I have my helmet, my knee pads, my elbow pads.
I got my spike covered metal ball.
One of these only requires some sort of suit that you put on to make something else move like you. So,
so let's start. I remember this first one we're going to talk about the movie is Starship Troopers, and so Starship Troopers in the opening of this movie, while we're still getting used to the characters and getting to know who they are and what they're about, we're introduced to what on the surface would look like just they're playing football. Looking carefully, this field which they're playing on indoors is like maybe 40 yards. Like they're in a tiny set for this thing, but they're actually not playing football because this is the future. And they're playing a game called Jump Ball. And it looks a lot like arena style football. Of course, the ball has to be chrome, right, James? Because it's space It's the future.
Of course. And so did the shoulder pads.
Everything.
If I remember correctly. Very metal-y.
And tight. Everything was very tight. And, like a lot of spandex. It's a co-ed team because you've got Dizzy is the quarterback, I guess.
The quarterback. Yeah. And one thing about that is that something that you can tell that this movie takes place in the future is gender neutral locker rooms.
Oh, yes, the future is gender neutral. So, there's no, but that's when they're in the mobile infantry. By that point, when we get to,
am I mixing up my scenes?
You're jumping forward to the part that like 17-year-old Chris was like, wait, what?
I thought they did the locker room for Jump Ball as well. No. I apologize. Well, I think it's safe to assume that Jump Ball also has gender neutral locker rooms.
I'm sure because Dizzy's on the team. What's interesting about this game? First, it's got some. It does this is one of those things in a movie where the game actually does kind of move the narrative forward. We get introduced to Xander, who is sort of the antagonist to Johnny Rico. We get a little bit of leadership from Dizzy. And she's all like, "Come on, like do the flip 6-3 hole, and we'll."
During basic training.
Right. She brings it up later and she's like, hey, we're playing laser tag. If you do a flip 6-3 hole, we can win this. And the flip 6-3 hole basically is Johnny Rico running up in a clearly running up a ramp that is off camera. And then he does like this massive, like superhuman flip over the other players, to score the space points for Jump Ball.
Thank you for clarifying that for me because I've heard the term used in other ways, the flip 6-3 hole. That we shouldn't
James,
not for this podcast.
No, let's move on. Let's move on to another sport. I've got a need for some robots or something.
So where your sport moves the plot forward, this sport is the plot and the title of the movie, and that would be Real Steel. This kind of takes place in the not so distant future, I would assume.
It's probably like, I guess it's probably like 2021 or something.
Yeah, and I would assume it appears that. And I've seen this movie, but it appears that Congress has passed some legislature with boxing in which they are tired of people getting concussed. So now boxing, that's not actually part of the movie, but that's what I like to think of.
Your headcanon.
Yeah, that's headcanon. So, and they now have to battle with robots. So they put on this not suit, but kind of an exo thing, and they stand on a pad and they box, and the robot does the boxing for them. And everyone kind of works on their own robot and things like that. But it's not really a new sport. It's just a new way to play a sport. It's
Rock'em Sock'em
like
Robots.
Cool. It's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Yes, very much so. It's way cooler than BattleBots for sure.
Oh yeah, because they're massive. These aren't like this isn't what was it called? BattleBots? That show?
BattleBots, yeah, the old show, which I think came back weirdly enough on the Science Channel, but
they keep trying to bring that back.
This movie itself is kind of like Over the Top with Stallone, the arm wrestling movie. It's like that, but with robots
and with Daddy Wolverine,
and the girl from Lost.
Oh,
Evangeline Lilly. Isn't she from Lost?
Evangeline, yeah, she's from Lost, and she's
Kate.
She's the Wasp.
And she's the Wasp. That's right. Ant-Man.
I never saw Real Steel. I got to say it didn't push my buttons.
Well, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yet you haven't seen Glass. So,
wow. That's being in the right place at the right time.
All right. We're going to jump into our pod here and head over to the Bunta Eve Classic, one of the big races in our next film's sport. There are other, I guess, what you would classify sports seen in the Star Wars universe recently in the Solo film. There were basically battle bots. We had some robots fighting each other. I don't want to offend any chess players by saying that chess is not a sport. But there's sort of like Dejarik, which is not really a sport. If you think chess is a sport, then I guess Dejarik is a sport. That's the hologram chess in the Millennium Falcon. But we're going to talk about pod racing, which takes up about 25 minutes of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. As far as, man, seeing this sequence in the theater, I remember being in a THX certified, theater with the rumbling bass and everything. And it was awesome. And so pod racing, if you're not familiar, this is from Wikipedia. Pod racing is a popular sport in the less developed regions of the galaxy and was one of the most dangerous sports ever invented. Racers losing their lives during this competition was pretty commonplace. Qui-Gon Jinn, they have pod racing on Malastare. It's very fast, very dangerous. Pod racers are a small one-man repulsor craft composed of anti-gravity pod compelled. You know what these look like. They're little pods pulled by engines. They're massive. They look like 747 engines, and it was the coolest game on the N64 in my opinion.
It is. I was just about to say that, one of the best N64 games, and very cheap. So if you have an N64 laying around, you can find a copy pretty cheap.
But you got to have the memory expansion for that one.
Yes, yeah. I don't think you have to have it, but you definitely want it because it does not run well.
I was going to say, I don't think it plays very well at all without that.
I think it is also available on GOG.com as well. I might be wrong, but it definitely had a PC release as well. So
yeah, you
might have to do some research on that. But
I think there was there was a PlayStation 2 version. It was like Pod Racers Revenge or something like that. And
Pod Racers Revenge, and then there was Super Bombad Racing on PlayStation 2, which was like a Mario Kart pod racer. Now you're getting back into my wheelhouse.
There it is.
It came out on Dreamcast, I'm pretty sure.
You own every copy, I'm sure.
I actually do own every at least one version of every Star Wars game released in North America.
Most recently, HQ, the trivia app, was doing a Star Wars night, and I'm still pissed by the question that got me out. It was like question 11, had nothing to do with pod racing, and it had nothing really to do with Star Wars. It was about somebody in George Lucas's freaking yearbook in high school, who had the last name Vader, and it was like, where did George Lucas hear the last name Vader for the first time or something? And it was like all these questions. And anyways, there was a question about which of these is not a pod racer. And a lot of my friends, we were texting after the game, like, which one got you out? And I had a lot of friends that got out on the pod racer. And I was like, no, dude, Doug Bolt. That's a pod racer. And they're like,
he's definitely a pod racer.
Yeah, I do. I was like, do you not have all of the pod racers memorized? They literally spend like at least 10 to 15 seconds on each one announcing them. And a few we get to see like their family members and their like babies, like you have to build a connection to these things. Otherwise they crash and you don't care. And that's just,
but I think we can all agree the best part of pod racing are the pit droids.
Oh.
I almost had you for a second.
Hit the nose. They just collapse up. I have a few pit droid action figures. They usually came in the back in the day in 1999 when those action figures came out with that red Darth Maul packaging. Pod racers were normally packaged with a pit droid. So I've got a few of those. They were not very. They didn't have a lot of articulation. I think they moved a couple of arms and legs. But enough about pod racing.
The one item that should have quite a bit of articulation had zero. But yeah, we're going to move on from there. Another one of my suggestions is because I feel like we don't want to stray too far into the sci-fi world, so we're gonna keep it grounded here on Earth here for a second and bring up Baseketball, which is a sport that was invented by Trey Stone and Matt Parker. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, the South Park guys.
South Park guys. It's a great movie. Also a game you can play with your friends. My friends and I definitely played a lot of basketball in junior high and high school. Essentially, it is a version of horse, where different areas are worth different types of hits, I guess, base hits, doubles, triples. If you miss, you're out. And the whole time you're shooting, someone can stand in front of you and try and distract you by either taunting you or making faces or anything. it is it's quite a fun sport to play. And yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that it got at least a little honorable mention here.
I think it counts.
Even though it doesn't fit in with all the rest necessarily, it's definitely still sport worthy.
It's definitely a made up sport in a movie. And most, I would say most movies that aren't science fiction don't stray. Like, they don't spend time inventing something new. They will make a movie and it's football, it's soccer, it's something we relate to. And this is all about people using their imaginations and creating a new sport. So that's the stretch. That's how we're going to connect it. And it's a game that you can actually play. You could go out in your driveway and play some basketball. Another game that you could actually play back in the 80s, or on a emulated arcade cabinet is from the movie Tron. There are mini games in Tron. There's a whole game program, like arena or whatever. I'm going to get the terminology wrong, and the guys from Techno Retro Dads are going to be tweeting me up a storm because it's Tron. Tron is their thing. But Tron had the things that stand out, the iconic sequences, in my opinion, are the two, and this is both for Tron and Tron Legacy, is the light cycle arena game where you've got the motorcycle that leaves the light beam behind it, and once you have created that light beam, you can't run into it, so you're trying to trap the other players. And then the disc arena, where you take your ID disc and you throw it and use it for blocking and stuff. I feel like that visually really helped sell Tron, especially in when Tron Legacy, the very first teaser that came out was this whole light cycle thing. Like, when you see that, you think of Tron.
When you watch Tron Legacy, you can definitely tell they sat in a room and they go, okay, what parts of Tron do we need to get right? And they were like, light cycles.
Yeah, that's definitely absolutely 100% correct. And they did. I think that they did a great job. And there's some great mobile games and some games for the PC. And I'm sure I have a copy of Tron for PlayStation 3 that I've never opened. And that will require me plugging in my PlayStation 3. So that's just too much work. But talking about it makes me kind of want to play the old arcade version of Light Cycle.
Yeah, where you got to choose from the 4 different games. Mm-hmm. Is that how that worked? It was like 4 games, and you could pick which one you wanted to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few of those back then. So the next one that we came up with together was Rollerball. Obviously, this is a great film. It was a remake of another film called Rollerball of the same name. And this sport it's almost like roller derby, hockey, and handball all had a love child.
But during the apocalypse.
But during the apocalypse, exactly. And again, with the tight suits but big arm pads somehow, they've decided they were able to do both. This movie starred the lacrosse player from American Pie. I don't know the actor's name.
Oh, so the new one. Stifler.
The new one. No, not Stifler. The other guy, the quiet guy.
Oh, Chris Klein.
Yeah, Chris Klein. There you go.
Why
Look at you.
Yes, last show I'm like, oh gosh, what's her name? And I literally have maybe seen American Pie like twice.
But you pulled Chris Klein out of nowhere.
Out of thin air. The mind is a funny thing.
We've learned a lot about you today.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so Rollerball, it's like a sport that you run, and the arena has like all these obstacles and kind of, jumps and ramps and all sorts of stuff.
And you're throwing like a spiked metal ball.
And they really didn't make the rules clear. Like, at no point did it explain what was going on. All you knew is the spike ball need to go in goal is kind of the explanation that you got. And that was my best Chris Klein impression.
It was pretty good. It was either that or it was going to be LL Cool J, because he's also in that movie.
Don't doubt it.
In the remake, yeah. And I didn't want to make a list, but during this era, so Rollerball, the original, came out in like 1975, and this is sort of that era where everybody was putting out for like 10 years, there were these intense sporting events like The Running Man. There's a short story by Stephen King. We've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like running away from people who are trying to it's like a sport to like hunt each other. And then you have, of course, like the stuff from like Thunderdome. And then later, I feel like Hunger Games kind of fits in with that. And so that we're going to kind of just group all of those kind of sports together, where it's just sort of like kill or be killed sports. Because there was a ton of movies like that.
The gladiatorial sports.
Exactly. Another sport that always caught my eye, always looks great on film, on TV, and with no really clear explanation for how the game is played. But we're talking about Pyramid from Battlestar Galactica, the remake, the one from 2003 and forward. Pyramid.
Now, I knew nothing about this one. This is
well, it's also because you haven't watched one of the greatest TV shows of all time, Battlestar Galactica. So,
all right. So
put that on your list. You have Glass. Are you writing?
I am writing. I'm writing.
Battlestar Galactica. It's available on Hulu. So Pyramid, you play this game with like a triangle shaped court. You can't move 3 steps once you have the ball. You have the pass. You get the ball in the hole. It was a big deal. It's like their professional football. And so we end up meeting with like Anders, who plays for the Caprica Buccaneers, and it's a good sport. It looks cool. It plays a lot of plays into the lore of the show a lot. And I think if you were to be in like a Comic-Con and yell "Go Panthers," somebody in Battlestar cosplay is going to yell back.
That would be real exciting.
Oh, wouldn't it? It'd be the absolute best.
I'd be the belle of the ball.
I know what you're about to talk about next, and you're throwing shade on Battlestar Galactica fans,
hey.
which I am.
I know tens of people who love this next sport, and obviously that next sport we would be completely amiss if we did not bring up Quidditch. Not mine and yours favorite movie series or book series, but Quidditch definitely has its place.
Absolutely.
And it had a video game, so it's got to be included in the list, right?
Yes.
So essentially Quidditch, most people know you have your seekers and your blunders and your, I don't know what the other positions are. Bludgers. Yeah, sure. But the goal of the game is to throw the ball through the 3 hoops, to score points. And then all the while your seekers are trying to, I think it's the seeker that is trying to catch the golden snitch. Now, it really doesn't make much sense to me. I'm sure it explains it better in the books about why everyone else is even playing this game if the golden snitch is worth 50 points.
It seems like it would take 150.
Oh, 150. Perfect. So you have to score 150 times on these other goals to, unless the goals are worth different points. I don't remember the exact rules. Okay. So 15 times. Essentially, it gets you back from a 15 to nothing deficit. It's right there in the notes, huh?
Yeah, look at that. The game is over actually when the snitch is caught or an agreement is reached between the captains on both teams. And according to Pottermore, sometimes the games go on for many days if the snitch is not caught. And you thought soccer was long.
That's like that game of tennis that went on forever. You remember that? Probably 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
Lasted like 3 days.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There was a tennis match that kept going into deuce and love, and it just lasted forever. Anyways, another interesting tidbit about this is that the International Quidditch Association had their championship this past summer in June in Italy, and this, Chris, is the sport that I have watched on television.
Yes.
I watched the Collegiate National Championship between, I believe, Duke and Texas.
And Baylor has a team.
Yeah, then they take it super serial. I mean, they are really into it. The announcers sound like they're watching people on broomsticks. That's how excited these announcers are for this game.
And they're on some sort of stick, they're
part of the rules is they have to keep this stick between their legs. I assume just so that they can't
running. At that point.
Yeah, I don't know, but they take it pretty seriously. And there's one person who's the golden snitch, I guess, and they have like a flag on their back. and they're just trying to avoid getting caught. I don't understand it, but
I actually
people are
now want to
playing
play
it.
this. Like,
I mean, you can just Google it and watch people. It's probably way better that way.
they're probably better. They're way better than me if I was playing it.
And
for
then
sure.
you don't have to explain to people in the park what you're doing.
What if I'm just running around with a flag on my back and there's no one else playing?
It's called Saturday.
Not bad, Potter. You'd make a fair beater.
James, it is well known that we are the Geek Experts, knower of all things, answerer of questions, and we opened up our inbox to listener questions that we will definitively answer. Some are kind of more or less our opinions on stuff, but let's go ahead and get started. The first one, listener Evan asks, who would win in a fight, Han Solo or Indiana Jones? I think
This is an excellent question.
I do too, and I'm assuming you're talking Harrison Ford Han Solo, not Alden Ehrenreich, right? Like,
Yeah, well, we'll just assume. I mean, it's the same person, right? But
same character. That's true.
But this Indiana Jones is not going to attack like a teenager. I don't see that happening.
Right.
So I would assume that they would both be adults. Therefore, it would be Harrison Ford v. Harrison Ford.
And are we evenly matched? Do you feel like this is a bar fight where they're caught just whatever they have? Or are we talking like Indy has his whip and a gun that he normally carries, and Han Solo has his blaster?
Yeah, so that's very important distinction. How does this fight start? Because Han Solo is a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy.
Right.
So if he's feeling, that things are going to get escalated, he is going to make sure that they don't escalate. That when they do, he will be the first one to take that shot, because we like it before it got chopped up and, added Dewbox in the background.
But Indiana Jones, I will say, he is also a shoot first guy. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, we've got the guy with the sword and he's showboating and Indy just pops him.
This is true, but that was brought on by dysentery, so
That's
because Harrison Ford was very sick. No, I agree with that as well, but I feel like Indiana Jones or Han Solo has a shorter reach for his blaster in that type of situation. Now, the real question is if you put them in you're starting here kind of battle, I would just have to give it to Indiana Jones. I have to go with Indiana Jones. I'm
also going to agree with you with Indiana Jones, because in my headcanon, in this version that's playing out in my head, Indiana Jones, Han Solo meet. They say something bad about each other's mother. Han's like, I don't have a mother. I don't know her. And Indiana Jones takes his whip out and slaps and pulls Han's blaster, and then Indy shoots him, and he's using bullets. So, like, blood and stuff. A lot more damage.
I think we agree on this one, but
official Geek State stance: Indiana Jones beats Han Solo in a fight.
Put it in the books. We got another email from listener Sarah, and she asks, if you had to serve aboard a spaceship from any universe, which would you choose? And I think the real issue I have with this question is that you said had to serve. I would gladly serve.
Okay.
On the space shuttle.
On the regular space shuttle.
Yes. So my pick would be this universe, and it would be Space Shuttle Explorer from Gravity. So I could hang out with Sandra Bullock, because there's like a lot of training that they would have had to go through. Like, you're hanging out with Sandy Bullock for at least 6 months, right? And that's plenty of time for me to get her to fall in love with me.
Of course, and this isn't a fictional universe where the tragedy that happens in that movie doesn't take place, because you're there to prevent it.
Exactly. I would be much better than George Clooney and survive for sure.
Obviously.
So what are you thinking?
There's so many, because my brain goes Star Wars or on Serenity, like that would be awesome. But I'm gonna stretch this question into aboard a spaceship. And I'm going to say that there's lots of space here on Earth that has yet to be explored. So I'm going to say I would like to serve aboard the Sequest DSV, which is a submarine from the fantastic television show executive produced by Steven Spielberg. Sequest DSVU with Jaws with the Jaws star Roy Scheider and the rest of the cast that I won't name because it'll expose me as a massive dork.
Now, would you be the dolphin?
No, I would not be the dolphin. But you know damn well I would be very good friends with Darwin. We would
Darwin the dolphin. What a stupid show.
We would hang out so much on the sea deck. It would be ridiculous.
Was Darwin able to talk to the humans?
Okay, so that is
was it like a Congo situation?
Yes, it was more of a Congo situation.
I see.
You had a device. It was called, oh God, now I'm drawing a blank. This is unbelievable. It's Sequest trivia. And it was a small translator basically. And it was called a vocorder, and it was on the wall, and you could take it off the wall and bring it over to the moon pool and turn it on and talk to Darwin, and then your voice would get translated into clicks and whistles and dolphin talk, and then Darwin would do his dolphin talking, and then it would come out of the speaker on the vocorder, and it was voiced by Frank Welker, the same Frank Welker from basically every 80s cartoon and voiceover you can ever imagine. So he's like Megatron and Soundwave.
Very exciting.
A little fun fact. I'm picking Sequest. You can't watch it anywhere. You have to buy it. I fell
asleep and then woke myself up, but I love it.
Oh, good grief. All right. So our very last question, actually, Armando, right before we started recording, just like bombarded our Twitter, and he actually asked about 6 questions. We're picking the one that I think we can both give great answers for. Last week we brought up Whataburger in Texas, as we both are from Texas recording here, and he asked, what is the best burger at Whataburger? And I know Armando's not in Texas. I think he's in California. So this is sort of a good pro tip. So if you're coming to Texas, you've got to hit up Whataburger. And James, what's your go-to? Do you have a go-to burger?
I do have a go-to burger. So if I have to get a burger, I don't know. My favorite is the patty melt, which some people wouldn't consider a burger. It's a melt because it's not on a bun. It's in between 2 slices of toast. People outside of Texas call it Well, it's just toast here.
Right.
It's just
we're in Texas. But
because we're in Texas.
We're larger than this Texas audience. I was translating.
Oh, that's right.
I was the vocorder for you for our Texas, but continue.
Well, soon it'll be Geek State toast.
Right.
People will understand it as Geek State toast. But another side item they used to have, and I think it's a seasonal thing, but they have a buffalo chicken strip sandwich that is to die for.
That's amazing.
Those are the pro tips.
Does the buffalo? Do you get it with on the toast, or is that? I want to say
for the buffalo chicken strip sandwich.
Yeah.
It is on the buffalo sauce is on the toast. Yes.
Yes. Oh,
so technically, I'm sure you could make it yourself. Just get a chicken strip sandwich and then put buffalo sauce on it. But
it's not the same.
It is not the same. And the honorable mention to the Monterey Melt.
See, I'm going to go. Mine's a little bit more straightforward. So you had the Monterey Melt. I think our Discord's playing some fun games with us tonight. So if James sounds like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica, then that's the reason. It's not your speakers. For me, I'm pretty simple. I like the Whataburger with bacon, cheese, jalapeno peppers. The end. Mayonnaise. That's it. No lettuce, tomatoes.
That.
Very simple. It's got a little bite. Hits the spot.
I can respect that. Now, here's the real question: regular ketchup or spicy?
It depends on the mood. Sometimes,
really?
Sometimes I want the spicy ketchup. Most of the time, just regular fancy ketchup.
Huh. Another quick question.
Yeah.
For breakfast.
Welcome to the Whatacast.
Yeah. For breakfast, do you get the taquitos or the honey chicken biscuit?
I get the taquitos.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah. I support your decision.
If I'm going to get a honey butter biscuit, I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's the question. Some of the questions that we received this week.
Here's another one. I'm just gonna.
Did we get another one?
Yeah, It's another one from Armando.
Okay.
Because we're talking about food, and you mentioned on a previous episode that you used to be a server. He wants to know, how long were you a server?
Oh, as short as possible, Armando. As short as possible. Nothing makes you never want to eat at a restaurant. No, I was a server in college for, I would say probably 3 or 4 months at an Italian restaurant in Clinton, Mississippi. Well, it was like a late spring, early summer kind of gig. Before I started working with you. But anyways, yeah, so I it wasn't very long. I tip very well due to my experiences as a server though. So, and definitely respect all of the kitchen crew. Cause I believe he is a chef, if I'm not mistaken. I do
believe he is in some sort of culinary industry.
And he definitely drinks craft beer and fine wine, from what I can tell from his Instagram.
Yeah, see, we follow. We know what's up.
Yeah, not long, but definitely enough time.
If you want your questions answered, send them to us via email, thegeekstate@gmail.com, or Twitter using the hashtag Geek Experts, or on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and send us a direct message. And maybe you'll have your questions answered right here on another episode of the Geek State. All right, wrapping things up for the week, it's time to pick the things that we think you should all check out. It's our pick of the week. I started off first last time, so James, kick us off.
Yeah, so mine's pretty quick and simple. It's just I use the app, but it also has a website. It's collectors.com, COLLECTORZ.com. And then the app is CLZ, and then whatever you're collecting. So there's a comics, music, books, and then I use the games app. It's not, they have a free version where you can save up to like 200 items or something like that. I do the paid version for the games.
Because you have way more than 200.
Yes, I have more than 200, but it's really excellent because it's a wish list. And it's for the games, it's split up by console, and it has a huge database that you can pull from, but they also use a pricing database as well. So you can build a wish list and then click on the items in your wish list and see what they go for complete, what they go for just the cartridge, what they go for just the cartridge and manual. You can kind of see so that you know if you're getting a good deal on things, if you're doing some shopping online on eBay, doing some bidding, things like that. So I highly recommend it if you are going to be a serious collector in something. Again, I think they have comics, books, music, and video games. And I think there's a couple others in there. It is $15 per collection that you do, but for games, if you have a serious collection, it's definitely nice to have some sort of database to keep all that stuff.
Absolutely, because you're talking about an investment too, because this stuff is, if something bad were to happen, you have a documented, list of everything you've got.
Yeah, it's pretty great, and I've never found something that isn't on there. It even has some like fan made games that are on there, so you can pretty much find everything in the database. But it's definitely a great little tool to kind of keep track of what you have, because sometimes even I'll be at a game store and I'll be like, do I have this? Not knowing that I've picked it up and I've looked at it and I've held it in my hands for a few minutes, but I don't remember if I purchased it, or it's something that I've definitely played, but I don't know if I own. Because sometimes I like to try out games before I purchase them, so I'll download the ROM, obviously for only 24 hours.
Yeah, of course.
And then I'll give it a shot. But so mine is collectorz.com or CLZ, and then whatever you're looking to collect app.
I've got something like that for my Funko. There's a app like Stashopedia, and you basically do the same thing. And does this app also tell you like what your collection is worth, kind of its going rate?
Yes, it does have that, because you can set the deal to you can set it to the condition of your stuff, so it'll take all that into account, and then you can do it on an individual item basis, and then it will tell you what it's all technically quote unquote worth.
Nice.
And I will not answer the question as to how much crap I have.
I wasn't.
No, I'm just kidding. It just makes me sad.
Or super excited. Either way. So that's pretty cool.
It makes my family excited, I guess, if I die and they want to start piecemealing it out.
Oh, God. I can't imagine trying to eBay off individual video games after something like that. Moving on, my pick of the week is The Magicians, which is coming back for its 4th season tonight as of recording. Got the DVR set to capture that one for me. The Magicians, I think it's awesome. It's super weird. For the first, I guess, I want to say maybe the first 2 seasons, or may have just been the first season. It kind of was on TV and then was gone. And I had, friends say it was awesome. And then every time I kind of looked at it or checked out like part of it, it didn't get me. It didn't capture me yet. But then I sat down and I started watching, and about 3 or 4 episodes in, you get really like kind of pulled into the story. It's, serialized. It's funny. It's weird. It's like adult Harry Potter. Like, you've got a school for magicians, and it's secrets, and there's this whole other world that's going on that other people don't know about. And, but it's adult because there's, topics and subjects and stuff that, are not for children. And so if you like Harry Potter and you're a grown up, then here's a show for you if you haven't checked it out. First 3 seasons are on Netflix, so go ahead and dive into that, and then check out The Magicians, because I'm pretty stoked to check it out once we finish recording. Some good stuff. Good picks of the week. We talked some sports, which is not something we'll do all that often, James. Sports is not my thing. I mean, I played high school football and I played high school soccer. Fun fact, folks.
That is a new fact that I had no clue about.
I will find photos of this evidence. I played left guard.
I'm just picturing you with like oversized shoulder pads.
They looked undersized on me.
Because of all the bench presses you were doing.
Dude, gains. But if you have an idea or topic for the show that you would like for us to research and look up and talk about and explore, please send it to us on Twitter or Facebook, or email us at thegeekstate@gmail.com. Thanks to everybody who is participating in our current Funko giveaway. We're going to extend the giveaway time because we recorded this episode a little bit earlier than normal. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can share the post that we have there for our giveaway. We're giving away a gold. It's a gold metallic Captain America from the Marvel 10-year anniversary Funko Pop. All you have to do is click the share button on Facebook, and then on Twitter, if you want another entry, just retweet the post that we made with that same graphic art. So just retweet or share, tell your friends, tag your friends, spread the word about the Geek State so that we can expand and build our mighty military. We'll need that to defend ourselves from the Nerd County, which is a real podcast. Don't Google it.
That's right. Don't listen to it either.
It's awful. It's the worst. It's good to be here. Thanks again to everybody and all the things that it's nice stuff on Twitter. It really makes our day to know that we're not just shouting into the ether. So from all of us here at the Geek State, you stay excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time.
It's time to play Rollerball!
It's the world's #1 phenomenon.
I created a sport that you could thrive in.
And 3 players rule the game.
I told you, it's the promised land. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Cut the counter, Red 2.
Professionals. I wish I had recorded all the times that we've done like made up songs right at the end, where we just go like boop 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 and then made it into like a banger of like a club song.
Yeah, that'd be good. We could do that.
I don't know about good.
I don't know anyone who can. I mean, I guess you can do that type of stuff. I'm not good with that. I used Audacity one time. That's a free music editing software.
I was just going to be like, that's a fun way to end it.